Imagine cruising in a luxurious cruise ship, not sailing across the ocean, but gliding through the cosmos. Welcome to the future. Cruise ships in space. But how did we even get to this point? In 2025, the cruise ship industry was thriving. Bigger, more luxurious ships were launched every year, and profits were at an all-time high. New cruise companies were constantly created to meet the growing demand for luxury ocean travel. But by 2028, the landscape had shifted dramatically. Space tourism had exploded in popularity, offering the thrill of low-orbit vacations, suborbital flights, and adventure tours aboard space stations. These experiences attracted the same thrill seekers who once flocked to luxury liners. Cruise companies, once dominant in the luxury travel market, suddenly found themselves scrambling to keep up. They tried to compete by upgrading their ships, adding extravagant features, but the excitement of space was impossible to match. As cruise bookings plummeted and profits declined, many smaller companies were pushed to the brink of failure. It became clear that the industry needed something more, a bold new offering that could combine the comfort and luxury of ocean cruising with the unparalleled excitement of space. After months of collaboration and brainstorming, cruise lines finally realized the solution. To truly compete, they needed to create cruise ships but in space. By 2033, cruise companies were fully committed to making space cruises a reality. But this wasn't just a matter of building something quickly and launching it into orbit. The luxury and scale that defined the cruise industry on Earth presented enormous technical challenges in space. To solve them, research teams worked tirelessly, breaking new ground across several key areas. One of the primary challenges was propulsion. Traditional rockets were fast, but they offered nothing close to the smooth, extended journeys cruise passengers expected. Engineers began experimenting with advanced propulsion systems, like nuclear thermal engines and ion drives, which promised longer, smoother voyages through space without constant refueling. Without an effective propulsion system, the idea of cruising through space would remain just that, an idea. Every test failure pushed engineers to the brink of a solution, knowing that one wrong step could ground the entire project. These systems had to strike a balance, efficient enough for interplanetary travel, yet powerful enough to move massive, cruise-sized vessels. Life support systems also needed a complete overhaul. While today's spacecraft could support a small crew for months, a luxury space cruise needed to house thousands of passengers for extended periods. Researchers tested closed-loop systems that recycled air and water, dramatically reducing the need for resupply from Earth. They also looked into sustainable food production, using hydroponics and artificial lighting to grow fresh food aboard the ship, simulating Earth-like conditions. A failure in these systems would not just inconvenience passengers, but threaten their very survival on long voyages, making the pressure to get it right even more intense. Radiation was another huge hurdle. Passengers traveling through deep space would be exposed to dangerous cosmic rays. Designing effective shielding for such a massive vessel, without adding excessive weight, proved to be a complex challenge. Researchers experimented with new materials and innovative structural designs that could protect passengers without compromising the ship's speed or energy efficiency. The dangers were clear. Without sufficient protection, radiation exposure could lead to serious health issues for both passengers and crew, adding another layer of urgency to the research. Also, evacuation systems became a critical focus of the research. Unlike Earthbound cruise ships, space posed unique dangers, such as sudden malfunctions, debris collisions, or radiation storms. Researchers had to devise emergency protocols that could safely evacuate passengers in zero gravity and the vacuum of space. The solution came in the form of escape pods, small, self-sustaining modules equipped with life support systems, communication devices, and propulsion. These pods were designed to detach from the main ship quickly and navigate to nearby space stations or even re-enter Earth's atmosphere if necessary. Engineers also tested rapid evacuation drills and automated systems that could guide passengers to safety, ensuring that every guest could be evacuated swiftly in case of a critical emergency. The size of the ships posed additional problems, particularly in how to construct and maintain them in space. These vessels couldn't be built on Earth and launched in one go. They had to be assembled in orbit. Engineers worked on modular designs that could be constructed in sections and sent into space piece by piece, using robotic systems and astronauts to assemble them. The durability of materials in space's extreme environment was also a concern, as long-term exposure to microgravity and cosmic conditions required testing new alloys and composites that could withstand the wear and tear. Each of these challenges, from propulsion to radiation shielding, carried high risks. Failure wasn't an option, as the consequences would be catastrophic for both the companies and the passengers. But as research teams worked through these obstacles, they found themselves on the edge of breakthrough after breakthrough, bringing the dream of a space cruise ship closer to reality. By 2042, after nearly a decade of intense research, the first smaller-scale prototypes of space cruise ships were ready for their true test. These weren't full-sized vessels yet, but scaled-down models designed to see if the ambitious ideas would work in space. The world watched as these prototypes were launched, each one carrying the hopes of an entire industry. Tension was high. Would the propulsion systems function smoothly on a longer journey? Could the modular designs hold together in the harsh conditions of space? Engineers and scientists monitored every single detail, knowing that even the smallest failure could set the project back years. As the first test ship detached from its rocket and began its autonomous journey through space, the entire team held their breath. Early results were promising, propulsion systems engaged, the ship glided smoothly, and initial life support tests showed that it could maintain conditions for human life. But it was still just the beginning. Then came the next trial, exposing the ship to the full brunt of space's harsh realities. Extreme temperature changes, radiation exposure, and the constant bombardment of micrometeoroids were all waiting. Every sensor, every piece of data was critical. If these models couldn't withstand the rigors of space, the dream of a full-scale cruise ship would crumble. The prototypes survived. They didn't just hold together, they thrived, enduring the trials better than anyone had expected. This was the breakthrough moment everyone had been waiting for. It proved that the technology was viable and that the dream of space cruising was no longer just a far-off fantasy. The excitement was palpable, but the tension never faded. Everyone knew the road ahead was still long and dangerous. Full-scale construction would be an entirely different challenge. Yet, for the first time, it felt real. They were no longer just imagining the future, they were building it. And nothing could stop them now. By 2049, the dream was finally becoming a reality. The first full-scale space cruise ship was under construction. Decades of research, experimentation, and small-scale models had all led to this moment. The massive project required international cooperation, cutting-edge technology, and engineering feats that had never been attempted before. Building a vessel of this size wasn't just an engineering challenge, it was a logistical nightmare. The ship was far too large to be constructed on Earth. Instead, it had to be built piece by piece in orbit. Multiple nations launched sections of the ship into space, where they would be assembled by robotic systems and teams of astronauts. The sheer scale of the project was staggering. Each section of the ship was the size of a skyscraper, and thousands of components had to fit together perfectly in the harsh environment of space. Every mistake, every delay, meant risking the success of the entire project. Tension built as modules floated into place, one after the other. The propulsion system was installed, designed to power the ship across long distances with minimal fuel. Next, the life support systems were integrated, advanced versions of those tested in earlier missions, capable of sustaining thousands of passengers for months at a time. Radiation shielding was layered across the ship's exterior, its effectiveness already tested in simulations, but no one would know for sure how it would perform until the ship faced the real dangers of deep space. But the most critical moment came when the central habitation modules, the heart of the space cruise ship, were finally connected. These modules would house passengers, complete with luxurious suites, observation decks, and entertainment centers. Engineers and astronauts watched anxiously as the robotic arms carefully locked the sections into place. If any connection failed, it could compromise the entire structure. Back on Earth, millions of people followed the construction progress in real time. Each update, each successful assembly brought the dream closer to life. The media dubbed the ship the floating city of the stars, a symbol of humanity's relentless pursuit of exploration and luxury. As the ship neared completion, the excitement was palpable. But there was no time to celebrate just yet. Final tests had to be conducted. The propulsion system was activated in orbit for the first time, and the massive ship slowly began to move. Engineers on Earth watched with bated breath, hoping that everything would go smoothly. Would the engines be powerful enough to move the colossal structure without tearing it apart? Would all the interconnected systems function seamlessly in the vastness of space? By 2056, the moment had finally arrived. The world's first space cruise ship, after years of construction and countless tests, was ready to embark on its maiden voyage. This wasn't just any flight. It was the culmination of decades of dreams, challenges, and breakthroughs. The ship, a gleaming behemoth floating silently in low Earth orbit, was about to welcome its first passengers aboard. The excitement surrounding the event was unparalleled. Millions of people watched from Earth as shuttles ferried the lucky passengers to the ship. These were no ordinary travelers. They were the pioneers of a new era of luxury and exploration. Celebrities, scientists, and a few fortunate civilians had been invited to be part of history, each of them brimming with excitement and awe. As they boarded, passengers were greeted with a level of opulence previously unseen in space travel. The ship's vast interior rivaled any Earthbound luxury liner, but the view was something no one had ever experienced before. Through massive observation windows, passengers could gaze out into the infinite blackness of space, with the Earth spinning below like a fragile blue marble. The tension was high as the final preparations were made. Engineers ran final diagnostics on every system, ensuring that the ship was ready for its first voyage. Life support, propulsion, navigation, everything had to work perfectly. A single malfunction in the vast expanse of space could spell disaster. And then, the countdown began. In the control room, pilots initiated the ship's engines for the very first time with passengers aboard. The ship hummed to life, and a faint vibration could be felt underfoot as the propulsion systems engaged. Slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, the ship began to glide forward, leaving Earth's orbit behind. The passengers felt a mixture of wonder and trepidation as the ship picked up speed. They had trained for this moment, prepared for the experience of weightlessness and the vast distances they were about to travel. But nothing could fully prepare them for the feeling of drifting through space, with nothing but the black void surrounding them. As the ship smoothly propelled through the cosmos, passengers moved freely between the observation decks, restaurants, and recreation areas. They marveled at the experience of dining while looking out at distant stars, enjoying luxury at a level beyond imagination. But not everything went perfectly. Halfway through the journey, a minor system error triggered alarms. The ship's artificial gravity briefly fluctuated, causing a few moments of weightlessness throughout the decks. Though the crew quickly resolved the issue, it served as a reminder of the unique dangers and challenges space travel posed, even in such an advanced vessel. Despite the minor glitch, the passengers remained in awe of the ship's capabilities. The smoothness of the journey, the endless vistas of space, and the sheer scale of the cruise ship made it a once-in-a-lifetime experience. The first voyage was an overwhelming success, proving that luxury space travel wasn't just a dream, it was now a reality. Back on Earth, the success of the maiden voyage sparked a frenzy of interest. Reservations for future trips sold out within hours, and the media declared this flight the beginning of a new golden age of exploration and adventure. So, after seeing the journey from concept to reality, do you think space cruise ships could be part of our future? Will we one day be boarding luxury liners in orbit, or is it still just a dream? The future is full of possibilities, and who knows, maybe in a few decades, we'll be cruising through the stars. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.